You know what used to piss me off about my family? Or listen, I said that I wasn't going to talk about my family, and I'm not going to talk about my family. But you know what pisses me off about some families is that it's almost like when you ask for support, like they claim that you guys are supposed to be one and y'all are close and all of that. But here's the thing. When you go to ask for help, number one, wait a minute. Let me find my charger, y'all. Okay. Number one, when you go to ask for help, it's almost like you got to give like a thesis, right? It's almost like, and it might not even be that serious. It might be $50 that you need to borrow, right? And you go to your family member and you're like, you have to do all this explaining. You have to tell them why you need it, when you're going to give it back. And it's just like, God damn, you know, this is support, this is community, this is family. It's not like you're asking for a. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're the type of person that always asks for loans and always asks for support, and you are constantly being that person who is always borrowing money, and you are always in need for a babysitter, or you're just always in need, then I get it. But if you don't ever ask your family for any help, you don't ever ask for, that type of support. But when you do, it has to be like this whole like circus. You have to explain. I don't want to have to explain all of that. If you have it, if you don't have it, you don't have it. That's fine. But if you have it, why are you requiring or why are you giving off energy as if you need me to explain all of my circumstances about my job and my overtime pay didn't come in and next week I'm going to get double pay? Why do I have to do all of that in order for you to help me out if we're supposed to be family and we're supposed to support each other? Because I don't require you to do all that. If I have it and you ask for it, I don't need you to give me a whole speech. You know what I mean? So let's normalize not making your loved one feel even lower, because most people, unless you're just an ass, if you are just somebody who's just always asking for money, you're in a different category. But if you're not that type of person, you already put your pride to the side to have to come and ask your family member, and now you're making them feel even smaller. So let's normalize not doing that, you know? Um, if you need some other type of support outside of like monetary, then here's my thing. A lot of times the issue comes is because there's not enough support before a big blowout happens. Before some big event happens where like your car got repossessed, or um before you just lost your mind because you never had a babysitter. Like, why can't we help each other on the way to that? Why do we have to like come support our family once they're like being taken off by the ambulance to some like mental hospital because they went months and months and years without any support? Why are we crying at the graduation and saying, wow, you did such a good job. You did all of that by yourself. Why are we celebrating that? Why are we celebrating watching, one of our loved ones and telling them and congratulating them? You did that all by yourself, girl. No, we can we normalize at graduation celebrating everyone? Celebrating the village? Can we be the village so that we can celebrate the whole village instead of everybody saying, good job, mom. I didn't know how you was gonna make it through. What? Like, that's normal to y'all? You know what I mean? Like, why not offer the support before it gets to trauma? You get what I'm saying? Let's see. There we go. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, the idea that support comes after the damage has been done, we got to stop that. You know, let's preserve our peace, not repair it. You know, let's not go on a healing journey after we like hit rock bottom. You know, sometimes it has to be that way because some people don't learn that change is needed until they hit rock bottom. But if we can avoid that, let's try to avoid that. I realized something important. So we really deserve support that is just not reserved for the breakdowns. You know, we deserve to have proactive aunts and uncles and grandparents who come and support us and who come and show up just because it's Tuesday. Just to give a hug. You know what that would do to a child's self-esteem if grandma and grandpa not try to, you know, cross boundaries and not try to dictate how the parents are raising. But if they just stopped by and dropped off, I don't know, a McFlurry and gave their grandchild a hug. What is that? What would that look like to their self-esteem? To the parent who's like, thank God, you know, I get to hop in the shower while they're downstairs for a 15-minute McFlurry date downstairs. You know, like, why is support pushed aside until it's like a crisis? You get what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't wait for that. It shouldn't have to wait for crisis time. You know? Build those connections. That's what connections are about. Connections are not about you having to be all up in your daughter's business and asking, oh, did mom and dad have a fight? Or, oh, who'd your mom hang out with? Like, you don't have to do all that. You're worried about the wrong things. You know, building connections with your grandchildren, with your nieces, with your nephews are those small moments. Like I said, is you just stopping by. You got a convertible and just riding in uncle. I remember riding in one of my uncles. He had a Corvette and he had a waterbed. And I literally had the best time just sitting on his waterbed because I thought it was so cool. Now that when I got older, I was like, what is my uncle doing with a waterbed? But he was a bachelor and, you know, whatever. But me and my cousins got on my uncle's waterbed and he just would take us and we would get ice cream and he would be, you know, he had his Corvette and we thought it was so cool. And those, like, he's passed away, rest in peace to my uncle, but those are special moments that are memories that a child will have and know that they are loved and know that somebody cares for them. So even when you have, even in adulthood, you have a bad moment, you can think back and remember, you know, your uncle taking you for ice cream or going on a walk with your grandfather or, you know, your grandmother teaching you how to bake cornbread. I mean, these are small things. Grandma was gonna make that cornbread anyway. Why can't you just stop for a second and, like, not all of your cornbread making has to be slow and patient. Just once a week, once a month. And those are memories that we hold on to. And those are moments that mom could get away and just relax on the bed, you know, or read a book or go on a walk or feed the other baby or take care of the other children. And those mean so much and it takes so little effort from you. And I think so many people are suffering now because we don't have that community, and that community is needed, you know. And it doesn't have to be. Here's the thing, when you say support from your family, a lot of people just focus on money, and it's not about the money. Here's the thing, most people don't. I don't know. I won't say most people. I'll say me and the people that I know. Nobody wants to borrow money or get money from any of their loved ones or anything like that. It comes down to that because you don't really have that much energy left after working so hard and working multiple jobs and taking care of the kids and doing all the extra in the park and the baseball and the dance recitals and the swimming lessons. You don't have much time, so like you suffer on your finances because you're like in survival mode. So your finances do suffer, not because you don't work hard, but because you cannot excel in your career as well once you have a family that you're overwhelmed with. Now, if you had a family that where you had a support system and everyone is helping everyone, then you can excel in more places and you can have a more balanced life. You know what I mean? And it's about, I don't know where that was lost. I don't know where it became lost that we need a community. Like, when did that stop? You know, because when I grew up, I remember my mom having a support system and my uncles coming by and my aunts taking me for ice cream, and I had those little moments with my mom's friends and my family and neighbors. Even I had a neighbor across the street, and we would just go sit, and I didn't think about it until I got older, but we would sit at her house and my mom would, we were so into what we were doing, like riding our bikes or just sitting there talking to our neighbor, that we didn't even really pay attention that our mom was going for like, a minute. And she probably just ran to the store because she would come back and she'd have groceries. But our neighbor just being there, sitting outside with the kids, it didn't feel like we were being babysat. We were outside, we were riding the bikes, but she was making sure nobody went in the street. She was making sure that nobody came by and nobody harmed any of the kids and everybody stayed together and everything like that without it feeling like we were being watched. You know what I mean? And somehow as adults, they probably communicated to each other, I'm going to run to the store real quick, girl. You got it? Or maybe it was just a thing that adults just knew. Like, when you see me pulling off, I'm going to run to the store. I don't know. But my mom will run to the a thing that adults just knew. Like, when you see me pulling off, I'm gonna run to the store. I don't know. But my mom will run to the